Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Game On. I'm Hannah.
I'm Hunt.
And we have some really special guests on today. We have Julie and Ida from Ida and Julie. How are y'all?
Good. How are you?
I feel like we've already recorded a podcast because we've literally just been sitting here for about an hour talking.
Having breakfast.
Yeah, just sitting around. Luckily, the Omni gave us kitchen notes, and so we all ate a biscuit this morning, which was so good. We really bonded over it. So, but we're really ready to start. And what are you thinking about starting off with?
Tell us what your all's podcast is about for anyone that maybe doesn't know what you all do.
Ida? We are talking about all the top secrets in the NHL, so you should definitely give it a listen.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, wouldn't it? No, but the league and like the hockey overall, what you see is guys going on the ice, competing each other. Afterwards, they are answering some questions. When a journalist asks them how the game was, and they say, well, it was great, and you hear the same answers every time. And I strongly believe that like hockey, it's so much more than just winning and losing and everything that is going on the ice. It's way much more than that. So I was doing a similar podcast before in Sweden, and eventually I was like, but maybe we should start doing this in the States instead, because we are playing in this league. And I reached out to Julie, and I told her from the very beginning, I was like, you can't answer right away. I want you to consider this overnight, because otherwise I know the answer would be no.
A hard no.
And I'm really happy that she took it with her and was considering.
Well, I think Kyle was the one that was like, you should do this. Like, you and Ida would be so good together. It's good to tell another side of the story. So that's what we've been trying to do. And sometimes they're topics like, how was the outdoor classic? And just kind of giving you a perspective from our side of what it was like. Other topics are a little bit deeper, like Jen, her episode, Austin Watson's girlfriend, her episode was a bit deeper about mental health and addiction and all that. So we kind of are just showing all sides.
Yeah.
I love that. I will say, from a personal standpoint, based off your answer, I went to my first Preds game 5 or 6 years ago. I grew up on football, from the South. Hockey's was kind of unheard of in the South for a little while, and so especially as me growing up. And I went to my first hockey game, loved it, and I heard what the sports reporter, the ringside reporter, was saying, and I was like, why doesn't she get deeper into the questions? I want to know more. I need to ask this and this and this. And that's kind of what triggered me to be like, I'm going to go into sports reporting and see what I can get out of people, be able to talk to them. So I love that y'all are doing that, because y'all truly do have the real inside scoop on the home life and the work life, and you deal with all of it, the ups and the downs. So I think that's so awesome that y'all do that.
But what I think is interesting is that I've been working as a sports broadcaster for a long time in Sweden. I've been covering basically most hockey, and before me and Matthias met, I didn't realize how much it actually takes on the players, but also on the families to be in this league. And if we only compare the league over here to the Swedish league, it's we play 35 games more over here than we do back home in Sweden. And also add all the travelings the guys are doing with all the time difference and all that.
A lot of times in Europe, they'll go to a game or they'll go on a road trip and they're back that night
or the day after. But here it's you have to leave the day before the game. You get back either in the middle of the night, you go to bed 3, 4 in the morning, and the kids wake up by 6 and you hear him screaming, and you try to sleep. So it's it's so much more what you see. It's not only just, and that's what I think it's so important to talk about the whole pictures, because especially today, is because what all of the kids see is just quick results. They see it on Instagram, the fancy cars and just the perfect life of being a hockey player. But it's so much more to that, and all the guys can agree on that too, because they know how it is with the mental, with the physical, and struggles that you have to go through to play in this league. And I think that me and Julie, we can give another view when it comes to that. We can talk a little bit about that and how it is to be a family in this league and everything that comes with it.
Yeah, I love that. So what you know, when you told Matthias and Kyle that y'all were going to start something like this, did they offer you any advice, or did they say like, oh, don't say this, or were they just like, go for it, say whatever
Well,
you need to?
I think like we've talked about previously, like hockey is different than other sports. They're a little bit more reserved. It's a little bit more private. And Kyle and I, in general, are more reserved and a little bit more standoffish. Like we don't really open up social media about our kids and stuff like that. We've always just kind of been that way, which is why I was hesitant when Ida first approached me, because I've never put myself out there like that. So I was surprised when Kyle was like, you should do this. And I'm like, well, we're also very, like, we don't want to ruffle any feathers. He's like, no, you'll do a good job of it. And there's certain things, you know, the thing is that it's Ida and I's podcast and we're backed by the Preds, and there's things that just I'm representing Kyle, she's representing Matthias, we're both representing the Preds, so we don't want to say anything that's controversial, that's going to upset anybody, that's going to do anything. So there's a line that we wouldn't ever cross, and I think that that's just for our own sake.
Till the day when the guys are
retired. When they're retired, there'll be an uncensored.
That will be a live
be
episode.
off ice,
Yes.
and then we will tell you all the shit. No, I'm just kidding. But no, so we just
2 hours long.
Yeah. Oh, at least. I think we could write a book.
Yeah.
There's a lot of facets, but no. So while we're in this, like, it's just kind of, well, we can say, you know, I think that one thing that's been really great is we can say how we feel about situations, how certain situations specifically affect us. We can give inside looks on really deep topics about the girls are going through, we're going through. But from my perspective, I just try to, and I just try to, on the podcast, not be too honest without being offensive.
Yes. Yeah.
What about you, Ida?
No, but I guess that's like you said it all. It's a fine balance between. I mean, that's the same if you can't go out and talk about things that happens on your job either. Like you have to find good balance.
Because it is a job at the end of the day.
It is.
You have bosses that you have to answer to,
and also there's things that happen in a group that they have to take care of by themselves, and that we can't go and talk about in public. So, but like we try to find that balance between being really honest. And I mean, the episode that we had with Julie when she was talking about how it was when Kyle wasn't playing that much for the team this year, and that was something that I feel that almost once or twice during your career you have to go through that time, and it's like you don't really hear about how it is for him, for the player, or for the family. And when you are sitting on the side, it's like you just think that, oh, well, they earn their money anyway. But it's just so much more than the money. Like, in the end, it comes more to how people are doing. Like, are you feeling well? How do you like to be here? Are you in a good spot in your life? And so that is, we bring more like the... like more feelings into the game,
like the human side of it.
The human side. Yeah.
You both kind of talked about social media and how you manage your own accounts and things like that, but how has that affected your all's perception of the league, and maybe like how do you handle the negativity that comes out when you have situations like that?
So I'm kind of used to, like, since I was working with the TV business as well, I'm kind of used to people who doesn't like me, and like it's so hard to fit in.
How can you not like you, Ida? You're like a tiny little fairy. Like.
People were texting me or like writing an email and like, what kind of lipstick are you wearing today? It looks crazy. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
Okay,
Ida.
so I mean, people have opinions about everything. Like your shoes, your hair color, and especially on women. Like, I'm sorry, but it's way more, like, they are going hard on us, like, all the time. It doesn't matter what
especially
we're saying.
Women in sports, too.
Yeah. So, which is very interesting, and especially like everything that is going on with social media today, I have started thinking about it even more since I got a kid, because I think it's just so scary with everything that is going on out there, and it's rough. It's so rough attitude.
Yeah.
It's like you don't get away with anything, and people are on you, even if you are posting a text that is in the end is about take care of each other. People pick out like one word that you put into that sentence, and they are like, hey, how can you say that? And that's just how it is. Like, people are like going on you all the time. So I think when it comes to social media, you just have to have the distance to it and be like, okay, whatever is going on out there, I'm not gonna put it into me. So it's like, I can do this, but there's line. Like, here's my what do you say, my space. Yeah. And over here it's the
it's
social
kind of like a
media
fake
stuff is
world. So
going-
you have your real, like your world and your reality
It's
and your
just an
truth.
illusion. I was
Yeah.
thinking it was so. This is so. I thought this says it all. So I had a work meeting back home in Sweden over Skype a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, I saw the pictures from the Winter Classic. It was amazing, and I was like, yeah, it was great. But do you know something? And they were like, no, what is it? I was laying on the bathroom floor both of the
Why
nights.
didn't you post pictures of that then?
Exactly, I should have. I should have.
You would have loved that.
And that's the thing, it's so funny because all you see is just the illusion of a perfect life. But that I barely made it to the game.
You were dead.
That I barely made it out of the bed in the morning. That it's like, people don't know that because I was not saying that out. Because it's like, and in the end, I don't know if people would take it in the right way either, because I know that some people, when you say that, it could be like, well, I'm rather sick at Winter Classic than being sick at my home and do nothing fun. So it's like people twist that around all the time. So it's really, it is hard to show off the real picture too, because it's like then people are finding something else to grab on. So it could always be something. So that I always think it's important to feel like in your stomach and inside that you are like, okay, I can stand for this. I know what the purpose and the meaning was by like doing this and talking about this. And in the end, how people are gonna like take it is up to them. So.
I think another thing with even being in the league, more so than any sport, you can get a phone call and just be traded. And didn't that happen to you with, you know, like just a few years ago? And you found out on social media.
Well, yeah, with Kyle's first, when he got traded from, which is why I like Twitter, because I found out.
Did your heart just
Oh,
drop
yeah.
of just,
I yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Too? Like, honestly?
It was, I mean, it was
Twitter,
like, yeah, it was
it's
a long
crazy.
time ago. It was probably like 10 years ago or something like that. But, and then I called Kyle and his agent was like he like was finding out at the same time, but it was like,
how does that even get out there before the
I
player
know.
knows? Like,
There's
that's just
always,
crazy.
like-
Media knows a lot. It's like they have so many good contacts. too.
yeah, that's true. But it's like, that's the scary thing. And that's why it's good to stay away from it because, I mean, that turned out to be true. But if I searched Kyle's name now, it could be like, we're getting traded and I just get inside my head about it and I don't need to do that. So, yeah.
But that is, it's interesting that you bring that up because if you look at this, I mean, in the end, we are just humans. Like, people see the guys as like professional athletes that can handle everything. Like, it doesn't matter what they are going through, they can still like just be strong and stay happy and all that. But it's rough, and especially if we look back to this season, I think that you are almost crazy if you never think about what could happen to you in the end. Like, even how good, like, even both me and Matthias, we feel safe here in Nashville and all that. But in the end of the day, when he's been playing bad, when the team is going bad, you start questioning yourself and you start to question the whole situation. Are we gonna get a phone call tomorrow?
Well,
to
if
say
Wayne,
that we are
if
gonna
Wayne
be traded?
Gretzky can get traded,
Yeah, it's like it could-
anybody can get traded.
Yeah,
Nobody's
that's the thing.
safe.
It could happen to anyone. So it's like you are never ever safe, and that is something that is very challenging, and especially when you are a part of a team and an organization that has a huge winner culture. Like, they want to win more than anything in the whole life, and we want to do that too, obviously, and that's why we're here. But it's like when you know that, and you know that the pressure is really big in the whole community and all that, it is like you have to have the best mental like strength to not start thinking about, okay, what can happen now if we don't turn this around. So that is actually it's a crazy thing. And like when you start thinking about it, like, okay, so they could call me tomorrow and say that we are traded, and Matthias has to leave, and I have to stay and take care of my like the house and the kid, and I gotta find new doctor for him. I have to find everything that takes like to build up a new life. So I mean that is full-time or like 2 full-time jobs to move somewhere and start all over again.
And I think it shows just even more how unstable the league can be at times because Peter Laviolette was just fired out of nowhere. I mean, I get a text and it's like, Peter Laviolette was let go. I was like, no, that's not true. Like, you heard off of Twitter. Like, that's not true. And, I mean, and it was. And, I mean, I listened to you guys' episode about y'all finding out, and y'all, again, found out through social media, found out through text messages. Like, you would think that they would put together some sort of meeting and say, you know, thank you.
And that's a lot of times
too fast.
The decisions are just... They just go,
it's
go,
made
go,
and it's done. And so, I think more so than anything lately, that's for sure been proven.
Well, in the league too, just like the way that this season has been in general, there's been lots of GMs that have gone, coaches that have been fired. Like I feel like it's, I mean, more so I think this season than I can remember. So.
Yeah, but that is also like Peter is speaking on Peter level, like. When you're sitting on the side, if you really want to know what it takes to be in this league, and you can ask yourself if you have what it takes to be there. I mean, that guy, he was like, we don't have to talk about his coaching or anything like that, but if we only talk about what he did, and that could be like a sign of how hard it is, he was taking the team to the Stanley Cup final. He won the league, he won the conference, playoffs every year when he came here, and when they were just a few points ahead, he had to go. So it's tough business. It's so tough, and if you want to get into the game, you have to be ready to play it as well. So. Yeah,
that's the thing with Vegas's coach too.
Yeah,
they just fired, they fired him, and that was out of nowhere.
Yeah, but I have heard though that I saw like a stats. There was some stats that I think they look back to the last 10 years or so that 50% of all the winning, like who won the Stanley Cup, had fired their coach during the season. So we have
to stay hopeful. Don't give up yet.
How crazy would that be?
Yeah, that'd be wild.
Which is a lot. Because in my head, I thought it would be like there's no chance that you win if you switch coach.
Sometimes you need change of scenery. You need something to shake things up.
But still go the whole way and win something. That is huge to do that with a new coach. But we have the stats on our side, or at least 50%.
I think so. Yeah.
We also have
good.
So we've kind of seen like the NFL and the NBA especially kind of take steps. We've talked about mental health so far towards making that more of a conversation and opening that up. And it seems like the NHL necessarily like hasn't taken those steps. Where do you think the league can do better about that?
I think it's going in a good direction. They just had Bell Let's Talk, which is like a huge initiative, especially in Canada. I don't know if it's as big, but like there it's like a huge initiative about mental health and opening, and they raise so much money just by retweets and texts. So that's a good start. I think it's the players are starting to now, because it is a little bit more of like a reserved, don't ruffle feathers kind of league, the players are the ones who are starting to change the momentum a bit. Robin Lehner comes to mind. He's a goalie.
Yeah.
Are they in Chicago now, I believe?
Yeah.
And he has battled a lot of different things with mental health, and he is a huge advocate for it. And I think and then there's other players too, who I can't think off the top of my head, ones who have retired and who are still playing, who have come out and talked about it. And I think that's what it takes, is just you need one person to be strong enough to come out and say something, and then another one will feel comfortable saying it. And then once that starts to snowball, it'll be like a common thing to say everything. Yeah. So I think it's going in the right direction. I think there's a lot of resources that the NHL has started to put in place for players and for families that are going through either mental health or addiction or things like that will hopefully keep going in that direction.
I think also like Robin, he put some words on it. He says that like mental illness is not weakness, and I think that is so
a huge distinction.
Yeah, and it's so important to realize that, and especially in this league, because there is a culture in, as you said, first of all, like you're not supposed to, what do you say, ruffle the feathers?
Ruffle the feathers.
Yeah, exactly. So that is, ruffle the feathers.
Take
so
it,
that, so that is one thing. And the other thing is also that is, like it's a, what do you say, macho culture in a way, when you are supposed to be really rough. Like it's, If you are like, I mean, there's so many guys who are playing with injuries. You can have a broken foot and you still have to play a game. You can be so like your back is hurting, you're sick, you got the flu, but you still are playing. You're not superheroes that don't feel anything. So I definitely think that is one thing that we have to like do something about, to first of all increase the status of this job, because I know that some people think that hockey players, they're just lazy and play like computer games all days, but it's like that is not the truth. It's like it's so much more than that, and
It's very demanding.
yeah, it is. And it's interesting too, because if you look at like basketball players or American football players, they are so much more open about it too. Like they can talk about the whole picture. I saw this documentary with Kobe Bryant the other day, and he was talking about like, if I only knew when I was a kid how much it takes, I wonder if I would go the whole way in that case, because I would probably start questioning myself if it's worth it or not.
Yeah,
For
'cause you
everything.
sacrifice a lot.
Yeah, and everything that I like, he's been putting in his like put his family in for, and all the injuries and all the time he's been gone and all that. So in the end, it's all you see is like the fancy part of it, but it's just so much more to it. And that's why not everyone is playing in the NHL or in the NFL or in the NBA, because everyone can do it. Like it takes something else to get there. But according to everything, like I'm typical like kid in between when I have siblings, and I care more about other people than I actually care about myself. And sometimes I feel when it comes to that too, like the reason why I want to show off the whole picture, because honestly, I don't have to do it by myself. I can just stick to whatever we are doing, and I don't care about the rest of the world and be like, hey, it's okay. You can think whatever you want to think about this team and the players, because I don't care. But I do. I hate the mental illness. I hate how people are feeling. In my hometown, where I'm from, in the north of Sweden, I don't want them to look at my Instagram and think that, oh, she is living the perfect life, because I'm not. It's like it comes so much more to it. Like, if you're going to live this life, then you have to be ready to do this life too, and everything that comes with it. So it always, like, everything has a price in the end, and I think that is very important to realize.
Well, we appreciate you saying that, because we don't want to come off in a way that's like, because it's a fine line too between it's hard, but we're not complaining.
Exactly.
Because we know that there's so many blessings that come with it, and we don't take anything for granted.
No.
But there's also a whole side to it that's hard. Just like, and so we try to balance between being like
and
humble about it without being like complaining. And I've ran into complaining wives before, and I can't listen to it, because I can't listen to it, because I'm like,
it was actually a journalist back home in Sweden who put she was like, you are complaining if you are sitting in an interview and say that, oh, my taxes are too high, then I'm complaining. Or if I'm saying that, oh, my car broke down the other day, because it's like, it's another thing. We can go and fix our car right away. We don't have to think about that, because we are so thankful for that we got the money that we can fix that right away. So I would say that is to complain, if we would ever, which we would never do, like we would never talk about things like that. And I feel that is complaining, but it's not complaining to tell the truth. Yeah. And the truth is that it takes a lot to play in the NHL. Even if you want to realize it or not, but it's a lot.
It's a whole group. Like, it takes a lot from your husband, from your kids, from your wife, from the parents of them, from like everybody has to be in on it. So.
And I'm so impressed. And honestly, if I look myself in the mirror, like, could I play in NHL? Honestly,
there's a 0% chance I could.
I think I would lay sleepless when I get to the hotel in the middle of the night and know that, okay, in less than 24 hours, I would play in front of 20,000 people again, and I have to perform. And I'm totally exhausted, and like it hurts all over my body. I would have a hard time.
And my wife is mad at me because I didn't get up with the baby.
Yeah, exactly. Or my wife is mad because she's at home right now with 3 sick babies, and like they having the stomach flu, all of them. So it's So when you come to yourself, like if you ask yourself, like, do you have the mental strength to do it by yourself? It's very interesting to see that, like. if you have it.
Well, that's why they need really strong women behind them, because
Yes,
it
yeah.
makes it a little bit easier. Women who complain, but are strong.
Exactly. I mean, when I was here at when it was the Stanley Cup final, we didn't have a kid, so
therefore you have no schedule. You can
exactly.
just do whatever you
So
want.
that's why I was having a good time, because
Yeah.
I didn't have anything else to focus on. I could just
no
be
nap
there.
time, no bedtime,
Yeah,
no
exactly.
sickness.
So yeah.
I can only imagine how different it would be if you made it to the Stanley Cup this season.
With a kid.
Like,
Oh yeah.
Mom and Dad, can
Oh,
you come
exactly.
over?
My mom's on like a
Right
retainer.
away,
Yeah.
Honestly, otherwise there's no chance that you can be a part of it and take care of the family. There's no chance.
That's why you have to
'cause-
build like a very good team of people
Yeah,
that you can call on.
exactly.
And I have a
'Cause,
great team of people. So
in that, if you wouldn't have that, you would have to choose between either like being a mom or being to the game, because it's, if you're gonna be there, like if you're gonna be a part, like really present during a playoffs and really be there, it feels like it's just because you'll be awake late in the evening and all that.
Or my
so-
son will ask like 17 million questions, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why is he doing this? Why is this happening? Why is this color? Why does the team do that? Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, just watch.
how old are your kids?
5, 3, and 2.
Do they understand anything that's kind of
Yeah.
going on?
So like
with-
my oldest, he's 5, and he's like,
The cutest kid ever.
he's so
I
sweet.
love him.
He's just like a mini Kyle. He's very inquisitive. He's just very sweet and kind, and he loves hockey. And I feel like, and it probably like will be the same with William, because he was the one that like as a baby would go to the games with me. He went like he traveled with me. He did everything. And then as you have the second, then it's like, okay, we're not gonna go to as many games. We're not gonna travel.
No.
And then the third, like Cooper's been to like
Yeah.
3 games. My youngest
He
has been to, like,
doesn't
I
even
don't
know
even
that
know
his
if he
father's
he has
thing.
no idea like Kyle plays hockey, because it just
Like, that is just dumb, and I don't know why.
yeah, so Beckett, it was like a part of everything, whereas you have more, you just get busier and it's harder. Where Beckett,
Yeah.
like he really gets it. So he loves going to games. He likes watching them. He wants to be like just like Kyle. So he gets it. And he gets, when he's on the road now, he knows all the teams, and he knows that. So he gets it a little bit more. Teddy is, my daughter's starting to get into it. She's 3 and she's like starting to get into it again. Cooper, like we'll see him on TV, and when he was sitting all those games, he was like, "Daddy," and I'm like, "Well, sure."
Yeah.
Like he's not even anywhere near there, but yeah.
No.
Yeah, so he gets it. Yeah.
So as we wrap up, we have to talk about this because I feel like you're just as motivated to talk about this as I am.
Yeah.
Tom.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. I'm saying
What?
Kobe Bryant. No, yeah, Tom Brady. Yeah.
Kobe
Yeah.
Bryant and Tom Brady,
Yeah.
both of them. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, like I said, my sources: Twitter, Daily Mail, New York Post, Just Jared. Yeah, exactly. Like, so we were saying that, and Hunt was saying like, no, he's not here, and we're like, yes, he is. Yeah.
He's working out there right
There
now.
have been sightings. Well, Kyle is like the huge, like Kyle like loves Tom Brady. So if that were to happen, like knock on wood, then we get traded. No, it doesn't. That doesn't even matter. But yeah, exactly. No, that would be so cool. Though.
Would you like? I'm not into. I can't say that because I'm not. First of all,
Again, my sources aren't.
Yeah.
Like,
But
you would know better. Yeah.
But how big of a chance is it that he would
I think he
actually
could come
end
in,
up?
right?
Yeah, I would say it's like a pretty. I mean, I think there are a lot of other teams that are also going to be looking at him, and I would say there's also still like a decent chance that he re-signs with New England. But I would say it's not out of the question. I don't know that we're necessarily front runners though, but I mean, it's definitely a possibility.
When I first heard about it, I
Yeah.
thought there is no way. Like
No.
the Titans are just now getting good.
Yeah,
You know, like, we're
yeah.
just now getting our ducks in order.
Yeah.
There's no way the best quarterback, the GOAT's coming here.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it when I started hearing my sources that are very true. He was touring the school and going to Pred games, and he's friends with Mike Vrabel, and the head coach.
That's true. I mean,
and
they played together
they have
for
a
years
I
and
thought
years.
about that, and then I thought, well, if you can't beat him, join him. Like we essentially kicked him out of the Brady
And
era.
also, I feel like Nashville is an interesting city to live in too. It's so much going on
Oh, yeah.
here, and a lot of things that is just like it's a growing city. So I feel that it might be a good city to.
Well,
to live
to
in
go
as
back to your
well.
question about mingling with other sports teams, like then I'm about to try to mingle with other sports teams. Yeah. Can we throw that party of all the families with the Preds, the Titans? We have something in common.
You gonna host so many
So
watch
many things.
parties.
Yes. All the watch parties at my house.
What is your favorite food place in Nashville?
Oh, this is a really good question.
So first of all, I just have to say that this place, like we used to go, me and Matthias before we had William, we used
When
to
you
go
had a life?
Yeah, when we had a life, we used to go here and have breakfast at this place because I love this place. It's amazing, like breakfast and I don't know if they have it anymore, but before they had like a huge table with desserts afterwards. So it was, you were like, you didn't have to eat anymore for the rest of the day. But I mean, Nashville, they have so many good restaurants.
It's like overwhelming
I
how many
feel
good
that
restaurants
me
they
and
have.
Matthias are really bad at date nights. You and Kyle are so much better. So I haven't been out in a long time, but Virago is really good.
Chicago's good. I like we like Cane Prime.
Yeah,
We really
Cane
like,
Prime. Yeah,
Bourbon is good.
Yeah, that is
we
really
love it.
Thanks for watching, you guys. This has been Game On with Hannah and Hunt. Big shout out to the Omni and Kitchen Notes and Big Heads Media for letting us record.